All right. Well, good day, everyone. I'm speaking to you today from The Hague, where we're going to be starting a governing board meeting later on today. And I'm thrilled to be here with you today. And I am, of course, Leslie Weir, the president of IFLA. And over to you, Sharon, to introduce yourself.
Thank you, Leslie, and welcome to everyone, and welcome indeed to Leslie, who is sitting in Helen Mandel's office. Some of you might recognize the backdrop, but it's great to have you here, and thank you, everybody, for joining us. What is our morning? And very much look forward to this, and looking forward to the governing board meeting here as well, starting today.
Now, let's just make sure that everyone can follow along in the language of their choice. So, you can click on the button marked CC in your menu bar. You can choose the language from the options under Translate to, and then you can also choose to view the full transcript. So we'll just give everyone a second to be able to do that. And I just can't tell you how excited I am as the president of IFLA since August 20th, I think, in Astana, to do this first series of town halls together with Sharon Memis. So we're very, very excited to be able to connect with you and talk about what's going on with IFLA and to brief you on some of the goings on. So let's talk about how we're going to work today. So we really want to maximize the time available to answer questions. So we have questions that have been asked in advance, but you can, of course, also use the Q&A function to ask questions. And if one of your questions has already been asked, we may need to prioritize to address questions that haven't yet been asked. So please do ask for clarifications if something doesn't make sense to you, because it may not to other people too. And I think we're all here because of our shared commitment to international librarianship. So we're going to look at how we can be stronger, bolder together and support each other. So now let's jump into our agenda. So we're going to begin by talking about the focus that we have on futures and trends for libraries globally and for IFLA. We will be talking about the implementation of our new Congress model. I'd like to show you the new dashboard, and then we want to brief you on the agenda that's coming starting today with the governing board meeting that's taking place in The Hague. And then we'll have opportunities for questions and answers. So let's jump into our objectives. So we need to be sure that you have the information that you need as IFLA members and volunteers. And we really do want you to be able to make the most of upcoming opportunities. It's extremely important to the success and sustainability of our federation that we all work together effectively. And so you'll be able to ask the questions you have and also provide your thoughts and insights. So looking forward to today's session. Now, let's jump right in on our focus on futures and on trends. So, as you know, my theme for IFLA over my presidency is that it is a moment for us to be bold. And I believe that we can be bold by working together, leveraging the trends report, and really focusing on futures for the global library community, for each and every one of your libraries, and for IFLA as an association. So we already have an incredibly great resource, which, as you all know, was released just over a year ago. and that at the Information Future Summit in Brisbane, led by our past president, Vicky McDonald. And we the trends report is really designed to help all of us. The idea was that we need to be alert to our environment, to our circumstances, and we can't really take anything for granted these days. There's a huge risk that if we make assumptions that make us plan in a certain direction, that we may end up going in the wrong direction. We are living during a very tumultuous time. It's a very complex geopolitical situation. And if we focus on a single vision for the future and we make assumptions about that future, that may leave us vulnerable. We believe that we can build resilience by looking at our plans and testing them against different circumstances to help us know how to adjust to ensure that, in fact, we are influencing our future rather than having external forces forcing us down a certain path. We need to have a proactive approach to futures planning that will empower us because we want, in fact, to be able to shape the future of libraries. So the big question is, where do we start? So we have the trend report. I'm sure all of you have had an opportunity to read the trend report, and it really creates a focus on the knowledge and information environment. We actually chose not to do sort of a mega trends or a generalized world trends. But we really wanted to do something that was focused on libraries and on the information sector that would help give us a bridge to other sectors that we work with in collaboration. We have many allies, and it's really great that we can work together on defining this futures orientation. So this report is not, it's really a conversation starter. It's not definitive. It is not telling us the path we must take. It is to be taken up, adapted, amended to serve us having the conversation about what our futures could look like. So the trends that it references are drawn from an extensive literature review, picking up on what different thinkers see as happening now, but also into the near future, say the next 5 to 10 years. The trends are not certain, and they're complex, and sometimes trends influence other trends, and there may even be sub-trends beneath them that could even conflict. But they will all help serve us to identify the paths that we can take. So the trend report also looks at the intersection of the trends and what sort of futures we might end up with as they interact. So as I mentioned, these aren't predictions. They're more evidence of how we might imagine futures, and they are a tool for us to test our plans against different realities. So huge thanks to the authors of the report. And then I'd like to run quickly through the trends themselves. So 7 trends, I think we're all well aware. And the first trend is really letting us know that knowledge practices are changing. So if we're in a changing world in terms of knowledge practices, we need to be aware of that. The second trend, artificial intelligence and other technologies are transforming society. And I think we are seeing that on a daily basis. And we're also, I think, seeing that the transformation is speeding up. And so it's something that we really need to be on top of. The third trend relates to the fact that trust is in the process of being renegotiated. Now, we know that libraries have a very high trust level. Research demonstrates that even today, in our tumultuous world that libraries still hold a very trusted place in society. And we are also looking at the fourth trend where skills and abilities are becoming more complex. And I think we'll see as well that roles in libraries will be evolving, especially in light of the changes with artificial intelligence and technologies. The fifth trend, digital technologies are very unevenly distributed. And I think we are well aware that there are still billions of people that do not have access to high-speed internet, which I think many people feel should be becoming a basic human right because it's so critical in terms of people's success. Um, Trend six, information systems are using more resources, and we need to look at how we balance the resource use there and also the impact on sustainability and climate change. We also do know, though, that people are seeking community connections, and one of the primary places that they go for those community connections can be in our libraries. So I'm going to turn things over to Sharon, and she's going to jump in on the tool to be used. Over to you, Sharon.
Thank you very much, Leslie. So first of all, I must say we at IFLA were really thrilled that you decided to make the trend report and futures thinking part of your presidential priority because for us it's such an important report, and we've had fabulous feedback. People are using it in lots of different ways. And it seems so fitting that as we approach IFLA's second century, that we are, of course, celebrating the past, an incredible organization, 100 years of achievement, but that we're really looking towards the future. So what we very much want to do with the trend report is to use it as a way of catalyzing a lot more futures thinking into the global library planning world, if you like. And so, as Leslie said, this isn't something which sets out the truth and that this is what is going to happen and that it's somehow you have to follow it absolutely. It's really a way of starting a conversation. So getting you thinking, looking at the different trends and also how they will apply differently in different contexts with different kinds of libraries, different countries, different contexts. So it's very much something that we want you to use to just, well, interrogate the trends. You know, do they reflect your experience? And we also want the feedback um, from you saying, well, actually, this, yes, is super relevant. This is somewhat less relevant, or in my context, in my country, this would be a really interesting approach. And also look at your plans and look against the trend. Test your assumptions. You know, have you considered everything in your planning? Does this trend report give you a different insight? One of the things that I love about this trend report is that it's not just saying here are the trends, but that we asked both the researchers and some really interesting thinkers to come up with scenarios, if you like, of how the scenario could go well, how it could go not so well. And we also got our emerging leaders to think about the kinds of skills that librarians in the future will need to have. So I think it's a really important way of just thinking about your plans, testing your assumptions, thinking about the future. So you're not just planning, as many of us are often doing. This is my budget for this year. How are we going to make everything work? How do we manage the team? How do we bring in the resources we need? But actually to start thinking about future proofing and the future. And in the trend report as well, which is very long and quite daunting, but being librarians, I know that everybody will be able to embrace it and read it. Is there are some really good guidelines for how you can actually do your own futures exercise. So it's quite a comprehensive report. And this really reflects a big part of our work that we'll be discussing at the governing board meeting this week. And you will be seeing more things coming out around trends and futures, because what we're going to try to do is we're launching a sort of trends and futures project next year, which will go through Busan and then culminate in London in 2027 with a new trend report, which will be looking at IFLA's next century. So very much a slightly different approach, but we want to bring in lots of different things. We want to get many of you involved and to really look through and think about the future. And I would say that, one of the things we've also tried to do, Leslie has written to the units, the profession, and we've done a workshop with the professional council and the regional council to encourage people to be really inspired by the trend report when they do the action plans for the different committees. So we're trying to really integrate it and bringing it into a lot of our work. What we're also trying to do is we want to get your feedback. We've got a survey opportunity that doesn't prevent you from contacting us separately, but we've got a survey coming up to see how and how you see the trends helping make the implementation of your strategy. Is it making it easier? Is it harder? What are the challenges that you're facing? This will be very much linked as well, as I said, with our IFLA 100 celebrations, because we want to look at the past, but we really want to bridge seamlessly into the future so that we're looking at what is possible in the future. What is our world going to look like? Which are the trends that are going to matter most? And what other trends are we missing? There will also be, as I said, quite a few other opportunities coming up, and we'll be telling you about those in the coming weeks and months. There will be some meetings, some events, and some materials because we really want to get a global conversation around the futures. So I think that's probably I think that's probably all I've got to say on futures and the trend report as a tool. So I'm going to probably hand back to Leslie.
Thank you, Sharon. And I'm going to jump into talking about our new Congress model. So, as you know, over the past year, say 18 months, we were looking at reviewing our Congress model. I think we all know that the world has changed somewhat over the period of the pandemic, and the needs and interests of our members and volunteers have also evolved. But one thing we do know, and that was clear, is that for many people in the library and information sector, the Congress, WILIC, is IFLA. And it's really, really important that we get it right. And this is, of course, personally, for me, a very important thing because I was honored to lead the review process that we ran in 2024 with the idea of understanding what our community felt about the Congress and what they were looking for in the Congress and how we could make it as impactful and attractive and accessible as possible. So I worked with a core group of from across different units and beyond to look at overseeing a process where we connected with our members, with our volunteers, and with our partners to really see what WILIC could be going forward. So huge thank you to all of you who participated in the surveys that we did, in the town halls, because what we saw was that, in fact, the Congress does matter. People do want, there were 93% of the people who were surveyed or participated in our process of input that said that they want a Congress. Now, they were split between whether it should be annual, biennial, or triennial. About half the people wanted it to be annual, and then about half the people wanted it to be either every second or every third year. Now, those that did want it to be every second or third year wanted alternate programming in the years when we didn't hold a Congress. And So with that, we decided that people really did want to be able to meet in person annually. But if people can prefer to participate biennially, that works as well. We brought up a different format in terms of alternate years so that we could leverage what we learned in the information summit that we held in Brisbane. It had a much more the Information Future Summit. It had a much more focused and centrally curated program with plenaries and keynotes that were drawn from inside our sector and from allied sectors and from outside to be able to create thought and debate and to be able to really delve into certain key questions. So people wanted to be able to have different formats that might enable a wider range of countries to be able to host the Congress. We went for are going for a more curated program. People also wanted fewer tracks because we were doing 6 tracks plus 6 meeting tracks. So 6 program tracks, 6 meeting tracks for a total of 12 tracks, which meant that you might not see people at the Congress because you were all divided. You were all in different places. So we looked at a much more shared experience. And there was a lot of input around the cost. It's expensive to travel. The registration's quite expensive because we have it's an expensive Congress to put on. We're interpreting into 7 languages. There's technology requirements. You need, the Congress Center. You need the volunteers. So there's a lot of complexity to our Congress. So at the recommendation from people who participated in our process, we decided that we would make separate fees for social events so that it would be more affordable for more people to be able to attend. So, I'm going to pass back to Sharon and let her talk about the wonderful time we're going to have and how the planning's proceeding on our next Congress, which of course is going to be held in Busan, South Korea, August 10th through the 13th. So over to you, Sharon.
Thank you very much, Leslie. So, yes, we are going and I'm sure everybody on this call knows, we're going to be in Busan in South Korea. So, it's actually, and I know it's a very large region, but it'll be then 3 years running. We've been in the huge Asia Oceania region. We were in um, Kazakhstan, of course, this year. The previous year, we didn't have a Willick. We had a summit in Brisbane. And then this next year, we're going to be in Busan in South Korea. But it is actually the first time in 2 decades that we have been in East Asia. And also the first time that we're working with the new Willick model, which has a slightly more curated program, more coordinated keynotes. We've got over 3 days, fewer tracks, so a lot more bringing the participants together, which is one of the things that, as Leslie said, people were very keen on. And of course, the other important event really for Busan is that is where we will be launching our IFLA 100 celebrations, which will go through the year and sort of culminate in London in August 27, although our actual birthday is in September. And we will certainly be doing something special on our actual birthday. But it does kind of launch a whole year of, I think, some quite exciting celebrations, which will be fun. So the National Committee in Korea is doing an amazing and enthusiastic job. And those of you who are in Astana will have seen them. Many of you, I hope, will have dressed up at the IFLA stand in costumes, had your photograph taken, and they are so excited about welcoming the global library community to Korea. So I think we'll have an absolutely amazing time there, and I hope that many of you will be there. And the theme is a great theme. It's libraries powering transformation. And what I love about this is this idea of not just causing, provoking, but powering. So the real engine behind change. And it's libraries, the way we're transforming our libraries, and this fits in so well with the futures theme. Transforming our libraries, and libraries really, transforming lives and transforming the information landscape. And it is this idea of actually having agency, of us making the difference, and libraries building that better world. So I think it's a great theme to have. And of course, we're inviting the proposals for sessions that will be coming out in the next couple of days. So we're looking forward to having a lot of really exciting proposals. We're trying to as well encourage the midterm meetings, and of course the satellite meetings that will be around the Congress, because we know that these days it's everybody has pressure on their budgets. So what we're trying to do is really encourage as much as possible to be around the Congress, so that if you are only allowed one international trip, you can attend both of the midterm meeting and the Congress. But I'm going to hand over to Leslie, because I know she is particularly pleased about this theme because it fits in so well with her presidential theme. So back over to you, and hope to see many of you in Busan.
Thank you, Sharon. And yes, I do think that this theme is absolutely perfect in relation to libraries being bold, because libraries really do power transformation. They power transformation in their communities, they power transformation for individual people that live in their communities and engage with their libraries, because libraries help those people to be successful, and they support society in moving forward and being able to thrive in, as what we mentioned, can be a slightly turbulent and complex world that we live in. And I really think that we can bring libraries and the information sector together to really, really look at the role, the critical role that we play in supporting society in every country around the world. So I am very, very excited with this theme, and I'm really looking forward to going to Busan. And I hope that many of you will look at putting in proposals for sessions as the call comes out. And I know that we'll have people coming from all around the world, and especially from Korea, to support us with our fabulous volunteers.
Mhm.
Because at the Congress, of course, the volunteers play such a critical role in supporting all of the attendees to be able to find their way around. So exciting times coming up in terms of the opportunity to provide input and to put in for open sessions, also to be looking at how we go forward with those satellite meetings. And so
Yeah.
exciting times.
Maybe I
I
can just remind everybody as well that it's not just the volunteer opportunities. We will, as always, have opportunities for grants for emerging leaders, other particular grants, and looking again to the future. Because I think, Leslie, this is one thing that you're very keen to make happen, and that we are at IFLA as well, is to get back on track for that kind of 3-year lead-in time for the Congress. So we will be publishing the request for proposals for 2028 and 2029, and that will be coming out in the next few days. And the idea is that we have the same a sort of parallel application, the same deadline, but then we'll stagger the reviews. But we really want to get back to that longer term lead-in time, and I think that's something, I know, isn't it, that came up in the review that you did as well.
It definitely did. And on a number of levels, it really supports the national committees to be able to plan and work with IFLA to have a really successful Congress when they have more of a lead time. It also enables working on bringing in sponsorship to support the best Congress possible. And at the same time, it allows our members and volunteers, all of the sections, the advisory committees, and the special interest groups to be able to plan in advance and be able to map out their action plan going forward. So knowing where we're going to be and when, I think really supports IFLA on all levels. And so I'm very excited that we will be to where we'd like to be in terms of knowing going 3 or 4 years out where we're going to be. And it also supports us as we look forward in terms of being sure that we are visiting different regions and that different regions have an opportunity to host the Congress. So exciting times. And if you might be interested in hosting the Congress, do watch for that call out that's coming out in the next few weeks. And I believe people will have, through into the spring to be able to shape their submissions. And remember, too, if you are interested, you can interact and you can have an iterative conversation with our great team at IFLA HQ to support you in drafting your proposals.
The deadline, I
So
think, is going to be mid-March, is my
mid-March.
recollection.
Yep. Perfect. All right. So now let's move on to the dashboard update. So, I think as you all are aware, I'm going to build on Vicky's work because Vicky felt that transparency and communication was extremely important in her presidency, and I agree completely. So I think it's critical that there is an opportunity for all the members and volunteers of IFLA to be aware of our progress against defined goals. So now the text is small here, so don't necessarily try to read every word that's on the screen, but this is more to give you an impression, to show that we have my 7 priorities listed, and then the details around the goals that we're going to try to achieve, whether we're on track or whether there's work to be done, and then looking at specific actions that we need to take to be able to move those priorities forward. So there is, I'll just do a quick run through. I'm sure all of you remember them from my speech in Astana or also from the president's webpage where you can go and see updates from me. The 7, starting with implementing the IFLA strategy, which was established in 2024 through 20 IFLA from 2024 through 2029, and that is for the benefit of the library and information sector. Then the second priority is to maximize the impact of the IFLA Trend Report as a tool in support of our strategic thinking. The third one is to engage with members and partners with continued focus on communication and transparency, hence the dashboard as one of the elements. In the fourth one, ensuring an effective and well-functioning governance at IFLA. And you'll all remember that we're in the midst of a health check on the governance that we brought in 4 years ago. And Vicki McDonald, of course, is leading that, and she is going to be with a working group, and they're going to be submitting a report in February, March for discussion at our April governing board meeting. And then, of course, the importance of moving forward with the IFLA financial sustainability strategy. My sixth priority is in introducing the new Congress model. And as you know, Busan will be a transition year in terms of the Congress. My 7th one, we need to make sure that IFLA 100 is dynamic, it's global, it's inclusive, and it will allow for celebration and reflection on the past, but also preparation and a focus on the future. So we'll be updating these and posting to my pages on the IFLA website as we go forward. So hopefully it will keep you in the know of what is going on. Now, let's move forward into what is on the agenda for the upcoming, well, the board meeting that starts today. So it is from December 1st through December 3rd, and we will be doing a number of things. This is the first in-person meeting of the governing board since we had our introductory session in Astana. We have had a couple of online sessions. Some of them were to support governing board members in being on top of our financial system and the way things function. And we had to take some pressing decisions, for instance, in terms of upcoming congresses. So we will really be focusing in over those 3 days in terms of defining the goals and how we're going to move forward as a team, as the governing board. And we'll be getting to know each other a little bit better because that's always nice when you can do that in person. So we will be looking at our stewardship role that we play on behalf of the members of the Federation. So an update on finances and planning, looking at the progress on the congresses that are under planning. We will also be looking at our membership, and we're looking at bringing in a CRM to support our to upgrade our membership system. So we're hoping that we can give you a much more tailored and efficient experience, as well as creating other opportunities for engagement and connection through the CRM. And we will be diving into IFLA's financial sustainability, how we can make sure we are investing now so that IFLA can serve the field effectively into the future. We know we need to look at how we can attract additional funding into libraries in all parts of the world, all different types of libraries, and we'll be exploring how we can move forward with this. We're also going to look at a range of strategic issues, from work on the trends, IFLA 100, to new possibilities to support innovative projects across our membership. So we'll be building up a sense of what the board wants IFLA to be at the end of its term in 2027. And of course, we'll be hearing details from different groups in terms of the professional council and the regional council and all of the sections and divisions that work under them. And we'll be having a discussion with the FAIF chair in terms of our advisory committees. And so ensuring that we've got a really good overview of the fabulous work that's happening across our volunteer community. Now, we also have some upcoming opportunities. So in November, you'll have seen that there is a survey on trends and IFLA. And so hopefully you'll all have an opportunity. And Stephen's been posting things into the chat so that you've got the links to the survey. And as Sharon has mentioned, the call will be coming out for the WILIC sessions in Busan. We will also have the call for the host nations for WILIC 2028 and 2029. And please do go online on the IFLA website and take a look at all the materials that were created around the transition from Vicky's presidency to mine so that you can draw on our Stronger, Bolder Together materials. There are fabulous videos that library influencers from around the world have done. 3 minutes, 6 minutes max. There are things that you can actually use in your library if you would like to, or in your association, in your institution. And there are things that can inspire you as well, I think. So I do encourage you to go to the IFLA website and check them out, especially if you didn't have an opportunity to attend the sessions that Vicky and I did in July. then in Astana, and then virtually in September. Now, we do have something kind of exciting coming up, and that is that we are going to be putting out for a call for people to help us create a logo. So we're going to be launching a logo competition for IFLA 100. And if you are artistic or creative, which well, I'm artistic in certain ways, just not so much in terms of creating logos, but I'm sure there's many of you out there with great imaginations and artistic abilities that can suggest a possible logo for IFLA 100. And do follow because there's going to be other plans and activities and information shared. And of course, if you do have ideas for IFLA 100, or think that your association or your institution would like to contribute in some way, we're really interested to hear. So you can share those ideas in the chat, but you can also go to ifla100 at ifla.org. So please do engage with us in terms of IFLA 100, and you'll see that there are quite a number of different kinds of upcoming opportunities to engage with IFLA and with colleagues and the members and volunteers from around the world. So now I think we are ready to move into our questions. And I know we've been having people put questions in the Q&A. We also did receive some questions in advance. And so maybe I'll just jump in on the first question, which is, Leslie, what are you most excited about for your presidential term, other than Willock 2027 in London, of course? And what I'll say is I am extremely excited about the opportunity to engage with all of you and with the members and volunteers of IFLA from around the world. And so I've worked in all different kinds of libraries. I've worked in public libraries, I've worked in government libraries, in academic libraries, national libraries, and I've done everything from acquisitions through cataloging, well, metadata, into public services, electronic resources, digitization, and I just really love seeing and hearing about the innovative approaches that our libraries are taking in all the different regions of the world. And I'm someone who learns, I learn every day, and I want to learn from you. So this creates an incredible opportunity for me to engage with people beyond national libraries, because I do have lots of connections because I am the Librarian and Archivist of Canada. I have a great deal of opportunity to work with national libraries around the world. But I'm really, really keen to hear about all the exciting things going on in libraries in the different regions and to look at how IFLA can really enable and underpin and support the libraries around the world in being successful and having impact. And as we go through challenging economic times, how we can support them in terms of their advocacy. I really think we're at a key moment when collaboration and partnerships, when you bring that together with successful advocacy and you have an opportunity as well to bring in innovation and creativity, I just know that libraries are going to be successful, and I'm excited to support them in their success. So that's what excites me. And so now let's move on to some of our other questions. I don't know. We do have a question about what the governing board imagines for the future of midterm meetings. And as I mentioned, things have changed since the pandemic, and in lots of cases, people have to choose one international meeting to be able to participate in. And as Sharon mentioned, that's something that we're really looking at. It's great that units and sections have an opportunity to get together in mid-year, which means like halfway through the year, not at the same time as the Congress traditionally. It's more in maybe the winter or spring, and then looking at the Congress because people used to be able to connect and travel perhaps for two activities. I think we're seeing now that we need our public programming to really come around the Congress and make the Congress be the big event of the year in gathering the library and information sector together and looking at how we can really amplify our messages through that gathering. And also, it creates such an opportunity for professional development. And so we're looking forward, especially as we look at going to Busan in Korea and looking at London to really make sure that it's a gathering of the most people possible and that we can have complementary meetings going on around it in relation to public programming that might traditionally be done in a mid-year meeting or in a satellite meeting. And of course, satellite meetings create a great opportunity for people who want to go into more depth in a specific topic, or where maybe they're working on finalizing an important standard that will have impact on libraries. So, looking forward to seeing how we can really make our Congress a big success. So, other questions we have. Sharon, have you picked out any? Because I know we've got different questions in the
We
Q&A.
we have. Let me try and pick up on some of the others. We have a question about funding for projects. I think it's actually from the National Library of Peru, and if there's an application schedule. It's not that we have a kind of, at least not yet, some sort of open system for grants. I think what we are doing, however, is that, well, after the governing board meeting, Leslie and I are actually traveling to our regional office in MENA. And present will be the director and head of the regional office in Latin America and Caribbean. In fact, we're bringing together all of our regional offices because we've done quite a bit of research looking at the landscape for funding and partnerships in the different regions, including Latin America, Caribbean. So we're looking to see what opportunities we can do to build in, if you like, something much more sustainable, to look for opportunities. So again, this is a new area. This is very much our investment on that sustainable future of how we can help and build that capacity and support in the different regions for different funding. So look out for that. The may, as I say, also be something I think a little exciting and different coming up soon through one of the projects we've got around trends and futures, but we'll be talking about that probably sometime in the new year. There are a couple of questions as well about AI and looking at the role of IFLA in helping libraries navigate the changing landscape brought about by the AI revolution as well, and how we can more effectively foster connections among librarians worldwide, promoting solutions to common challenges, particularly in the context of technology. And I think, Leslie, I'm sure you will want to say something about that, but we already have quite a lot of material and studies and reports and ideas and thinking on this. The repository is such a rich source of information. So again, it's got a better search engine now, so you can actually find things more easily. We've got different committees working on this. And of course, this is an absolute key part of the trend report. So some of the things from there, I think, are going to be really helpful. But it is absolutely about sharing that knowledge and experience and expertise. And I think we'll be doing quite a lot more about that. But Leslie, you might want to say something about that too.
Well, I think too, exactly. Well, IFLA creates an opportunity because we are this global community to really look at, how we can have toolkits that can enable our members to build on the experience and knowledge of others, and then to be able to look at what's appropriate in their context, in their community. And one of our trends is that the skills and expertise needed are changing. And so we're an obvious, I think, mechanism to support our members in being able to develop the skills that they need to be successful in their libraries. And certainly, I know at Libraries and Archives Canada, we've just put out a position paper on artificial intelligence. We're playing around with various tools, and we really do love to have opportunities to hear about experiences that other institutions and associations have had, so that we can maybe learn through that and skip some of the challenges and problems they had, and maybe learn from the successes. So I think IFLA is a great venue to be able to do that.
Mhm. And I think it is that importance of the platform. IFLA IFLA headquarters is a really tiny team, and I think it's always worth remembering that we're quite small, but IFLA is the huge federation, the 1,200, 1,400 volunteers, and the expertise that people can access is absolutely extraordinary. So, look for the opportunities. And I think, perhaps the response as well, Dr. Payal Saha asking about their library, which is fully sustainable, and asking how to collaborate with NCLIB. Well, the thing is, simply look at if you go onto the website, you'll be able to see the people to contact, get in touch with them. They will be really interested in looking to see how to work with them. So the platform is there, the channels of communication are there. Really just reach out to the volunteers who are working on NCLIB, and I know they're always delighted to work with others. So please do that. Um, I guess then the other question that we've had in advance, and I know we've got a few coming in here as well. Well, I'm going to answer one on behalf of Leslie, actually, if that's okay, about making IFLA presidents more accessible to members worldwide. Many of us would love the chance to connect directly through short online talks, virtual visits, live messages at national events. This will bring IFLA's leadership closer to all regions, strengthen engagement, and inspire our communities to feel more connected. Well, one, this is a great opportunity. We have the town hall here now. Leslie also does have, and our presidents generally do have, pretty busy day jobs that are also very demanding, and they fit IFLA into their spare time, and I'm always amazed at how much time they do devote to IFLA. But certainly Leslie does do recorded messages and video messages, and does do a lot because it is impossible to always travel around the world. So I would say that both Vicky and Leslie are incredibly generous with their very, very little time resource in doing whatever they can to engage with members around the world. And we are looking at travel, and I think we can say, for example, that Leslie will be going next year to South Africa, for example. So we are really trying to engage with really all parts of the world. So I think that Leslie's already super generous with her time. So I'll answer
Well,
for her, but she may want to say something as well.
well, I'll just say I do quite a few videos, and I do come on virtually to a number of sessions. I was just actually at the first summit of heritage libraries in Mexico virtually, and really enjoyed the exchange and discussion that I had as part of that. And I have sent videos to many different places over the last 2 months, 2 or 3 months. So happy, to be engaged. I did the open book with the National Library Board of Singapore, where I had the privilege to be part of a conversation with the president of the International Council of Archives. And so always happy to look at engaging virtually, to be able to provide a video in terms of welcome when there's an important Congress taking place, and looking forward to opportunities when I can actually visit places around the world, to be able to engage in person as well. And as Sharon pointed out, I balance it with my day job on the side, where I am the National Archivist and the National Librarian of Canada, which is a fun job as well. So happy to do that. And now we've got about 3 minutes
Yeah.
left.
I think it's good if we could answer that question, respond to the question about the Willick 2027 is in London, the third Willick in Europe
Yes.
in 5 years. What does this choice say about regional diversity and inclusivity? I feel it would have been a much better signal to celebrate IFLA's centennial in a hitherto underrepresented region like Latin America or Sub-Saharan Africa. With London as a host for the centennial, IFLA's Euro-American, North American dominance is further cemented. I think I'll probably give that one to you, Leslie, if that's okay.
Well, I would just like to reinforce what Sharon said earlier, and that is, we met last year in Brisbane for the Information Future Summit, and then this year we've met in Astana, and next year we will be in Busan. And I do realize that the congresses before that at Dublin and Rotterdam were in Europe. And, we really had a hard decision to make in terms of the location. We had two extremely, extremely strong submissions. And we're always trying to look at how we can support the members in being able to participate in the Congress. And in this case, we felt for the for IFLA 100 that we do need to celebrate and recognize all the contributions in the past, and at the same time, we do want to focus on our future coming up. So we wanted to be sure that we could have the most people possible be able to participate. But as we go forward, looking at 28 and 29, it creates opportunities for us really to look at engaging in the global south. And I hope that we'll have more strong submissions that will enable us to be able to go to the different regions of the world. And so, look forward to the upcoming process, and recognizing that it's important that we do gather in the different regions and in sub-Saharan Africa and Latin America and the Caribbean as well. So I
Mhm.
think there are opportunities, and we will try to ensure that we move the Congress to the different regions and take advantage of the library communities in each of those regions, because we know that when we go to the different regions, it really shapes and informs and inspires the program and the Congress itself and the connections that people are able to make with the local communities.
Mhm.
So I don't know if you want to add anything there, Sharon.
No, I mean, I think that's it. Of course, everybody thinks, as Leslie said, that IFLA is Willick, but we also do quite a few events around the world outside of the Congress where we go to different regions. And it doesn't always have to be a Willick. It can be something a little bit different. And I think that's a great thing that's emerged from the Willick Review is to have the alternate years, which in some ways are a bit more flexible, which we can do in a slightly different way. So I think that there are lots of opportunities. And we are also looking at ways with some of the other work we're doing to make sure that we are really trying to take account and be globally inclusive. And that's why we've got the meeting that we're about to go to in Doha at our regional office there, which brings together the regional offices so that we can look at something which is truly global. So it's not just Willick. There are lots of other ways that we can try to do that. But we're also always keen to get ideas from you.
Exactly. And now I see we are a minute over time. So I just wanted to thank everyone so much for participating in today's town hall. It's really great for us to be able to connect in many different ways. And I think this is one of the opportunities. And so I would just like to wish each and every one of you a wonderful evening, a lovely day, a great night, depending on where you are,
Yeah.
and that we'll look forward to continuing to engage and communicate. And that's two-way communication and being able to connect with each and every one of you. So thank you so much. And
Yeah.
I'll give
Thank
any
you.
last words over to Sharon.
Yeah, thank you very much. I mean, I was looking at where we had participants from, and they range from Rio, in Brazil to New Zealand. So Amazing. Thank you very much, because some of you have joined very, very early and some of you very, very late. So thank you so much for joining us. And please let's carry on the conversation. Thank you.